Just going to hit the record. Okay, well, hi everybody, and I'm so wicked excited to share with you this amazing interview that I'm going to have with Mel McIntyre. Mel McIntyre is based out of Scotland. She is one of only 400 certified high-performance coaches across the globe, and she is our opening speaker at Science and Soul 2019. In addition, though, Mel is also the director of the Soul track of our Quantum Leap program. So just let me have Mel take it away. Give us a little bit of an intro of what you're doing.
Wonderful. Thanks, Mary. So thank you for a great introduction. I think I'll probably start by just sharing just a little bit about my personal story and what kind of led me to be here. And then, yeah, I think we're going to have a fun interview for your folks today. So I'm excited about that. So I've got a 20-year career in all things people, people development, transformation, change. And I worked as a consultant and a coach across a variety of different industries doing that. And what really brought me to this place a couple of years ago now was a really yucky burnout. I was really in a bad place about 4 years ago, just coming up for the 4-year anniversary. Physical health was terrible, stomach ulcer, chronic IBS, anxiety, depression, very much a very different person to who sits in front of you today. And I was just really struggling with where I was at in my career as well. So I'd focused on working in roles that I'd kind of climbed the corporate career ladder, and what became really clear to me was that I was really being called to serve, and it was very difficult to serve meaningfully in that type of environment where ultimately it's about making rich people richer. So I think that's one of the things that and now I do serve, I should say, in the work that I do, and I think that's one of the things that drew us together, right, and gave us that strength and connection, which was this real drive, this real purpose, this real passion, which is about being of service to those in need. And with you, it's about the NICU, it's about nurses, ultimately it's about the babies and the families, right? And with me, it's about helping people. Ultimately, I feel really called to serve women, but it's about helping us to step up and become who we were born to be, right? Really fulfill our potential and overcome all of the stuff that gets in the way of that. I'll talk more about that, I'm sure, as we go through the interview. But yeah, that's just a little bit more about me.
Oh, thank you so very much for sharing that. I did want to make mention about the work that you do with women, although we will be having some gentlemen at the Science and Soul conference as well, and hopefully listening to this interview, and I'm sure you can meet their needs as
and
well.
I work with men. I have some male clients as well, so this work works with everybody. But I think my mission is about helping women step up and really feel empowered about who they are authentically, and not have to pretend to be a certain way to be successful in what is ultimately a man's world, right? I think we can all agree on that. So again,
thank you very much. So tell us a little bit, tell us in your experience, what are the challenges that you see with people that are committed to creating transformation? I know the folks that are going to be listening to this can really connect with that, because the work that we do in the NICU really can provide us with opportunities, to create transformation. So what are some of those challenges that you see through your lens?
Yeah, I think it's a great place to start, right? Because we are challenged every day. And I think when you're heart-centered in the work that you do and you're really purpose-driven, I think it creates different challenges. And here's what I think they are. And this is universal, by the way. I see this across a variety of different industries, different shapes and sizes. But ultimately, when we care so much about our mission, If we're not really careful, that leads to us feeling burnt out and exhausted. And it's a slippery slope, right? Because we often, when we're driven by service, we have this need to put everybody else first. Mm-hmm. Particularly, and again, I think as women we do this more because we have this role often as a mother or as a homemaker. We have the role, our professional career role. And so if we're not really careful, there's nothing left for us by the time we're finished, right? There's very little left for ourselves. Huge, huge challenge. What does that lead to? It leads to that fire in our belly that drives us. We lose it. Right? And how does that manifest? Sorry, were you going to say something there?
No, I like where you're going with this, because you're making me think about, the team that we're working with now, the pioneers in the Quantum Leap program. Mm-hmm. When we first started back in March, a lot of them, and you called them on it too, but a lot of them were sharing some of their frustration about constraints that as it unfolded, as the programs unfolded, I started to see that these constraints were really self-imposed. They were part of stories that we all tell ourselves, and it holds us back. So
definitely,
it's just amazing.
Absolutely. And you know what that leads to? And again, I think these things are universal. It leads to resentment.
Yeah.
It leads to comparison. They've not got it as bad as me, or it leads to manifests as moaning, as being negative. It can manifest as a real victim mentality. Right? Yeah. If I'm calling it, that's ultimately what it can manifest as, because we're working so hard, nobody's got it as bad as us. And if we're not really careful, we can end up in a really difficult place. And I'm talking to this from personal experience at a really deep level, because this is where I was at, right? I've been here. I know what it feels like. And by the way, I was there more than once.
Yeah.
It took a few burnouts for me to really get the wake up call that I needed. And so we neglect our own needs, right? We neglect our self-care. We fall into bad habits. We have the negative mindsets. We have those stories. The way we talk to ourselves in our heads, we would never talk to other people like that.
Yeah.
Yet we somehow. So really, those are the challenges that I see universally. It's kind of a slippery slope, right? Yeah. That if we're not filling our cup, then and we're spending all our time and energy on filling everybody else's, then it's not sustainable. That's the biggest challenge.
Well, now, and I'm getting a smile on my face, because again, I'm thinking of the group that we're working with, and how I've now seen, now we're past the midway point now. I was just looking at the calendar, and I'm seeing this transformation in the folks that we're working with. And, when you were talking about the self-care and really being mindful about honoring the importance of that, I'm seeing that with our group. And so I think, for the folks that are listening, and, to kind of be aware that they can change it. They're holding the keys, but, can you kind of speak to that? How do you change that tide?
Of course. I think it never ceases to amaze me what's possible when you have hope, right? Yeah. And I think if we're getting real about this, you've got to find a place to draw on to create the change that's necessary for you to get out of the, what can be a really challenging place. And what we're talking about here, I think, manifests not just on an individual level, but also at an organizational level as the culture, right? So when we're talking about change in the work that we do in Quantum Leap, we're looking at personal transformation and how you lead that change in the organization. And again, that's the background that I bring here, right? So I want people to be thinking about that as well, that it's about, the way that you show up influences everything around you. And sometimes you being the change that you want to see in the world is what it takes, right? But and that's not my quote, obviously that's from Gandhi, but
still sounds good.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what I see is when people are challenged to get off the hamster wheel and really take an honest look at how they're operating, it's the first step in creating really meaningful transformation. So whether you're looking at yourself individually or whether you're looking to change a department and implement a new process, right? Implement a new procedure for babies, you've got to start by looking in the mirror. Right? You've got to start at that place. You've got to get really honest with yourself. You've got to really recognize that in every single moment of every single day, you're creating your own reality, right? By the thoughts you have, by the way you feel, how you treat others, how you treat yourself. Are you honoring yourself? Are you honoring the people around you? Right? You've got to start. You've got to take that look in the mirror. You've got to, what I see, time and time out. And this is the key to successful transformation. So write this down, right? It really is about, once you decide to take full responsibility for your own experience and your own results. And that is about, it's not about what they're doing over there. It's about you and what you're doing, the choices you make every single day when you get up. And that's when our own experience and quality of life can really start to get better quickly as well. It's not easy, but that's a real key definer, I think.
Well, I just to kind of respond to that, I know, just since you and I have been, working together, not just on Quantum Leap, but, our support that we offer each other, I feel like I've really grown, I who knew how many stories I had rolling around in my head. And I remember you telling me that I needed to upgrade my operating system. And it was powerful. I mean, you're shooting from the hip and being, kind but firm. And I think at the end of the day, we all benefit from that, that kind of outside person really seeing that, we don't have to feel this way, that we're doing it to ourselves.
Yes. And you know what? This is what makes me so utterly passionate about what I do, because I know what's possible, Mary. Yeah. I know what's possible. And I know that it doesn't matter how you feel right now. It's a temporary state. And you hold the power. What you don't often know is how to do that. And don't worry, I'm going to give you some strategies and some tips on that. But it takes courage to step up and demand more from ourselves, especially when we're feeling exhausted, right? Especially when our energy stores are depleted. This is the road less traveled. How many people don't ever get off the hamster wheel and really think about what they want their life to look like and the changes that they want to make, right? But because it's a road less traveled, it leads to riches that are for the few. That's like one of the great things about it. And what I want people to really connect with at this point is, I remember for me personally, it felt so hard to be me. That's the most simple way to describe it, right? It felt so hard to be me. And listen, I had so many sob stories, so many reasons for being down, right? My dad had cancer. I was failing at work miserably. Half my team hated me, half my team loved me. I was working at a really senior level. It was all I'd ever wanted. I was trying to care for my dad at home with cancer. I would walk around. I didn't have anywhere to go sometimes. It was so hard. I would walk around the streets and literally not be able to go home to my dad because I had to cry, not be able to, because I'm sucking it up at work all the time. It was horrific, right? It was really tough. But you have to believe that there's something more and better for you out there, and you have to take the responsibility to make the changes that's going to make that happen for you. And you have to be brave, right? And you do have to take a leap of faith. And that's why we call it Quantum Leap, right? Because it's about, isn't it? That's how we came up with the name, isn't it?
It's true.
But imagine, it feels so easy to be me now, right? And listen to this, right? It felt easier to be me after a couple of years of healing and strategizing and kind of really focusing on me. It felt easier for me to help my dad die than it did for me to be in the corporate world.
Wow.
Go figure that out, right? Because I was being true to me.
Yeah.
And I was stepping up and I was being who I was called. I was stepping into my calling, right? I had created the the health and the resources in my physiology, my psychology, my mindset, that I was able to be really present to that. And I get that the people listening to this, you have to be present to really difficult human experience, right? You have to be present to babies not making it. You have to be present to their parents. I can't even begin to imagine. I've got a 4-month-old son, Maximilian. So I have a whole new appreciation of this now, right? What you guys really do, but don't you deserve to do that in a way that's easier on you? Mm-hmm. Don't you deserve to do that in a way that's more joyful? Yes. Don't you deserve more in the way that you serve? And the only way you're going to get that is by giving it to yourself. Nobody's going to come and give it to you, right? That's the reality of it. And it is so accessible if you've got the strategies. That's it. It's so accessible. It really, really is.
That's the thing that I really loved about learning about the work that you do, is that it is so grounded in evidence and science and in practical strategies that I think makes it available, which was really one of the big reasons, I thought you'd be so invaluable as that opening speaker for the conference, to really set the stage, grounded in science and practicality. That's what people need to walk away with.
Yeah.
It doesn't speak to everybody, but it will speak to this group for sure.
Absolutely. And look, let me give you some strategies, right? Because I'm conscious that people aren't just here to hear us chatting with some of the good stuff, right? So let me give you some of the good stuff. So I'm going to just do some quick fire things that you can do, which are going to really help, okay? The first thing, you have got to 100% commit. That's the word right there, commit to investing in yourself and doing what it takes to make the changes, right? And it really is about investing in your mindsets and your habits, and particularly around your psychology, how you're showing up mentally and emotionally, and also your physiology, right? And the way that you treat your body. Once you've made that decision, it's way easier to start gaining clarity. And that has to be the place that the work really starts. So I've got some great questions for you. So you really want to get a pen and paper and you want to write these down, because these questions will start to change your life. They're simple, by the way, they're not complicated. All the best things are simple, right? Nurses don't always like to hear that because there's loads of complexity in what you do, but simple is best in my experience. What do you want more of in your life? What do you want more of? Think about that, right? What do you want more of? What would you love to have time for? How would you like to feel? Like, what is it that you want to have more of in your life? Gain that clarity. Gain that clarity now, right? No one's going to do it for you. What do you want less of in your life? What are you not going to do anymore? What are you not going to tolerate? What are you going to stop doing? Right? What do you want less of? Really think about that. You'll know what the answers are, right? It's not going to take you time to do this. You could do this stuff in half an hour. You could have a clarity meal with your partner. You could set up a clarity team meeting with your family, right? You could do this. Like these are just simple questions, simple tools that are going to work for you. What makes you feel at your best? Really think about that. When are you flying high? When do you feel amazing? When do you feel joyful and energized and at the top of your game? Think about that. And then I want you to think about, what are the conditions that lead to you feeling like that? Then you're starting to drill down, right? You're really starting to think about, what is it that helps that to happen? What is it that helps you to be at your best? What is it about the environment? What is it about you? Is it to do with what you ate for breakfast that day? Is it the fact that you've drank more water? Like, you can get really granular on this stuff. And actually the work that I do does help you get really granular, because it is about changing habits, right? And creating new routines. That's how you make change happen. It's that straightforward. And I want you to think, once you've thought about what are the conditions that make you feel really good, how can you have more of that in your life? How can you have more? And then it's about making that change happen. And this is the next point, right? I cannot stress this enough, Mary. Once you've gained that clarity, take action fast.
Yeah.
Fast, fast, fast. Just do it. Just take action. Because what I see all the time happen with clients is what you're doing really is you're increasing your self-awareness, right? And that is, see if you just start navel gazing and contemplating all the things you could do and should do, that is a fast road to frustration and feeling worse than you did in the first place. Because you've got a glimpse of what could be different, but if you're not following through on that, then you're actually going to feel way worse. You're going to get more frustrated in yourself than you were to start with, because you've raised your self-awareness. You need to raise your self-management. That's the kind of two ways of looking at it. Make your actions new habits. Consistency is the name of the game. It's so important, so simple. So think about, what can you do to support yourself through that? Journaling is a great way to do that. Really kind of making a commitment to yourself to just get more intentional, to be more conscious of what you're doing in your life. Because you want to become a new version of you. You don't think about the new version of you and what that could be like. You need to become it. So that's about changing what you do, changing how you do it. And the way you make that happen is habits and routines. So really think about what's the one or two things you need to start doing differently, which are going to take you from where you are to where you want to be. But, this takes courage, right? Courage is a topic I work with a lot on people, and our brilliant resource for that is Brené Brown, The Gifts of Imperfection, Brené's TED Talks, and what Brené says is you get courage from couraging. And what does she mean by that? When you do things you're scared about, when you do things that feel scary, it expands your tolerance and you grow through it, right? So this is about pushing through the discomfort of how hard it is. You bet your bottom dollar some of this stuff's going to feel really hard, because it's the road less traveled, right? We've already established that. And I think as well, it always helps to have somebody who's got your back. So I want you to really think about who's your support network. So Mary, you and I, we're accountability buddies, right? That's where we met, right? We met through a mastermind program for female entrepreneurs. We became accountability buddies. Every Monday we talk, we're there for each other, and we keep each other on track, right? And, is it a friend, is it a partner, is it a coach? If you're really serious about your transformation, we both work with coaches, work with a coach. So the next thing, just be ready for miracles to start happening, because you set your intention. And this is the soul part of the work, right? When you get clear and you set your intention, the universe will rise up to meet you in that. I see it all the time. I see, just wait for the miracles to happen. You could argue that you and I, and the way that we met, and the synchronicity, between what we do and how we kind of vibe together, and the way that we want to serve, like that came because we both gained clarity. And we found each other, right? And now we have this shared vision and passion about the difference we're going to make in the world in this field. So that's like a real short, sharp series of things that I want people to really think about on a practical level, that are going to help them.
I think for sure, the Science and Soul 2019 attendees are going to just be blown out of the water with that opening presentation that you're going to talk about purpose, passion, and clarity. I feel wicked excited that you were able to share so much with the folks that are going to be listening to this video. And I also am practical that February 2019 is a little bit of a ways away. So, I think if folks, listening to this are moved, we can hook you up with Mel. I can put her contact information down there. Mel, are you cool?
Well, of course. Well, one of the things that I wanted to do, Mary, was I'm going to give you a couple of links, because there's a tool that I want to share with your peeps. It's called the Review Your Life with Clarity Toolkit. And it's just it's a process. It's going to take you deeper. It's going to share some of the questions that I've shared today. And that's like no commitment, no cost. You get that tool. Awesome. And the other thing, for those that feel really called, is once, you know, set up a call and I'll have a clarity conversation with you, and I'll really help you. And again, no cost, no commitment to that. I'll really help you just gain the clarity that you need to give you that kind of jump start from where you are to where you need to be. But you know, this isn't for everybody, right? You do need to be committed to this. And I think those of you who feel called by what we've talked about, you know who you are, right? And those of you who aren't there yet, when you are there, when you're ready, you know where to get us. We'll still be here, right? The tool will be there. So I would really encourage you to download the tool, and as I said, just set up a call.
All right, great. Oh my gosh. Mel, thank you so very much. This was really, really great. What a great way to surprise everyone with the June newsletter and meeting our opening speaker at Science and Soul 2019.
So excited, Mary.
Thanks so much, Mel. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.